Ray Wheatley for Fight News. I'm here with the former IBF and WBA middleweight champ, Daniel Geale. How are you, Daniel?
Not too bad, thanks, Ray.
Good on you, Daniel. Daniel, you've got a world title fight coming up soon, mate, on the 24th of June at the West Star Leagues Club. You're fighting Ronald Quinlan for the IBO middleweight title, super middleweight title.
Yep.
How's training coming along, mate?
Yeah, been going well. You know, I've had a few little ups and downs throughout the camp, but everything's, you know, on track and, you know, feeling good, feeling confident. You know, I know what I have to do. Quinlan's going to be a tough opponent.
Yeah.
He's, you know, a tough guy who comes to fight. So,
yeah.
You know, we're looking forward to a good, tough fight and, you know, making sure that I get that title and move on to other things.
Sparring and all's going well?
Yeah, all going well. You know, I can't complain. Just got to keep working hard, that's all.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Now, is there any updates about, you've put out challenges to Danny Green and also Anthony Mundine.
Yep.
Can you bring us up to date with that, mate? About those challenges?
Yeah, no, we spoke with both camps and, you know, with Green's camp and, you know, I didn't think they were that keen on that one. You know,
did they discuss a weight?
Well, they originally started to agree at a weight and then, you know, the weight started, you know, they wanted the weight higher and higher and higher. Yeah. Danny couldn't get down, you know, below.
So what they want to fight cruiserweight, did they?
Basically, yeah, they want to fight a cruiserweight. And, you know,
you're super middleweight.
Yeah, I'm a super middleweight, so I've just jumped up from middleweight as well. So, you know, it wasn't something that was going to be, you know, possible for me. And, you know, unfortunately, we couldn't come to an agreement. Same, you know, Mundine, I guess, was a little bit different. You know, we put out the challenge and, you know, I guess he'd struggled for a long time at junior middleweight. So, you know, we've gone up to super middleweight. You know, so that would have given him a little bit of room to bulk up and feel a lot better in his boxing, but, you know, he didn't want that at all.
No,
so.
just didn't want it.
Yep.
Now, let's get back to, mate, start of your, when you first started boxing as an amateur, mate. You were a very successful amateur. You won a Commonwealth Games medal in 2002 at the Manchester Games, Commonwealth Games. You also fought the Olympics, right?
That's right.
Only the one Olympics, Sydney Olympics?
Sydney Olympics.
Who'd you fight there?
I fought an Italian named Leonardo Bundu.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. He's been a successful pro as well.
Yep.
And how many amateur fights did you have?
Had about 165 amateur fights.
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. How many did you win?
About 135.
Beautiful.
Yep.
And you fought Triple G in the amateurs?
In the amateurs, 2001,
yeah Japan. What title was that for?
That was for the East Asian Games. That was for the
that
was the final East Asian Games.
Yeah. Okay, mate. Let's get back to when you first turned pro in 2004. You defeated Danny Bellett. Then you have wins over Demencio Davana, Bruce Glozier, Sean Connell, Phil Rolfe, Steve Duett, who you won the IBF Pan Pacific title, followed by Gary Cromer to win the OPBF title in 2005. In 2006, you had wins over Taimo Masua, Nono Gonzalez. Gonzalez took you the distance. What are your memories of that fight, mate? It's a Filipino, right?
A Filipino, that's right. I mean, he was a tough fighter. You know, I had him hurt on several occasions, and he's one of them ones where I guess you learn a few lessons early on. You know, you don't want to stand there banging with a banger, and you know, he caught me a couple of times. I think I got put down a couple of times, and
flash knockdowns, right?
A couple of flash knockdowns, and you know, I guess more than anything, it scared my corner a lot. So you know, you learn from those things, and you try and put yourself in that situation again.
Okay, mate. Thailand's 2000 and Sydney Olympian Somchai Chinam also took you the distance in 2006. You remember that fight? Can you give me your thoughts?
Yeah, I remember that fight. I believe it was down in Wollongong. You know, he was a tough customer. You know, I just felt like I dominated that fight. You know, pretty comfortably. But you know, in saying that as well, I'd seen some of his previous fights, and you know, he was pretty explosive. So I had to be extremely careful as well, and you know, had to be on my game.
2007, you won your first world title, IBO middleweight title, by defeating fellow Aussie. Daniel Dawson was highly regarded. Tell me about that fight.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I guess, one of the first bigger step-up fights for me, and you know, it was something that I wanted for a long time, and I believe it was meant to take place a couple of times before that, but unfortunately it had to be rescheduled due to a couple of different reasons. But we finally got that fight to happen, and it was at West Leagues as well, which you know is a great.
That was a shutout decision, right?
That's right. Yeah.
I think all the judges gave you every round.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
He's a tough guy. He proved that. He went on to have some big fights after that.
That's right. I mean, Dawson's been in there as a kickboxer, been a world champion.
Done it all.
Kickboxer, so I knew it was going to be a tough fight and a dangerous fight. I actually got cut pretty early in that fight as well, which was my first sort of major cut. And you know, luckily I had a great corner that settled me down. And you know, I just went out there after I got cut in, I think, the 4th round. I just got back to my boxing and kept moving, kept scoring, and I guess the rest is history.
Yeah, that was a good win, mate. That was your first world title. You defended the title against Yugoslav Olympic 2000 Sydney Olympian, Gerd Adjevic. Can you remember that fight? He took you the distance.
Yeah, I remember him, and I guess that was another one that was pretty sort of similar in the same boat. He was a guy that was tough, had a heap of experience, you know, a lot of amateur fights, big amateur career, and you know, going into that fight, you know, I knew if I slipped up and made a mistake, he was going to be on me straight away. So I had to stick to my game. I had to do what I do best, and that's box, be smart, keep moving, and you know, I think he was happy at one stage just to come over and go the distance. Yeah. But you know,
he fought some big names too.
He has, yeah.
Fought all the best. Now, you lost your IBO middleweight crown in 2009 to Anthony Mundine. Can you tell me about that fight? It was a close fight, disputed decision.
It was a close fight. It was a fight that, you know, I still believe that I won that fight, but you know, the judges are the ones that, you know, they're the ones that score it. So, you know,
that was a split decision, right?
It was a split decision. You know, it was frustrating. I felt like I was stronger in that fight, but you know, I was just happy that the rematch took place a few years later. But you know, it was an entertaining fight. I remember watching it, you know, several times after that, and it was an enjoyable one to watch. Now,
you received an IBF eliminated opportunity in 2011. You fought the former world IBF world champion, Roman Karmazan. A lot of people regard this one of your best fights. Tell me about that win over Karmazan. You stopped him.
Yeah, I guess fighting a guy with such experience that he just lost close points victory to the world champion, as well as Sebastian Sylvester. I knew it was going to be a tough fight. You know, I watched a lot of his fights beforehand, and Karmazan was one of them guys. He was there to break you down, and you know, I had to get the same game plan going into that fight. You know, also knowing that he's tough, I knew I had to, you know, be busy, work extremely hard, and you know, fortunately my game plan paid off. You know, I kept busy, I kept pushing him the whole way, and the stoppage came late.
It was a great win. He was pretty sick after that, but he got it cleared, mate. Then in 2011, you did get your IBF world title opportunity. You had to travel to Germany and fight Sylvester. It had 3 successful title defences. It was a big ask, mate, going to Germany to beat a pretty strong champion. Tell me about that fight.
Yeah, I guess it was a fight that a lot of people expected me to go over and come back empty-handed. You know, a lot of people knew that it was dangerous travelling anywhere in the world, let alone Germany, to get a victory. You know, get a knockout over in places like that, sometimes you don't get the fight. So
that's right.
You know, but you know, I was fortunate enough. I had great people around me, great people supporting me. So you know, I just knew I had to go out there and be confident in my own ability and you know, fight the way that I fight best.
Yeah. Well, that was a great win, mate, especially in Germany. Now, your first defence was back here in Australia over Eramasali Albert, who had wins over former world champ Lewis Raymond Campus, but lost to James Kirkland. Tell me about that fight with Eramasali Albert.
Yeah, that was a tough fight. Yeah. You know, I knew Albert was definitely coming to fight, and you know, I was looking forward to that fight, especially fighting down in Tasmania. You know, I said for a few years before that I'd love to take a fight, especially a world title fight down in Tasmania, and everybody down there was extremely happy that I had that opportunity to do that. But yeah, we didn't take that fight lightly at all, and unfortunately I went in that fight with a bit of a hand injury.
That's the fight you had the injury, yeah.
Yeah, I thought I could get over it, and you know, it was frustrating. I couldn't throw my right hand at all, so you know, basically had to fight one-handed, especially against a guy that wanted to come forward and wanted the pressure.
Very aggressive.
Yeah, he
strong
was
and aggressive.
very aggressive. So I made it difficult, and I had to, you know, box, use my feet, trying to get hit, and yeah, fortunately, I done enough to win.
Yeah, you did. You won quite clearly. Then you fought. Your second defence was against Adama. Now he'd come here with a very high reputation. He had also stopped Roman Karmazan.
Yep.
Tell me about that win over Adama.
Yeah, Adama, he was another guy that was definitely very dangerous. You know, we knew to start with, being a shorter fighter, he was going to come at me, and you know, just watching some of these fights beforehand, you know, he'd gone to his opponent, he put pressure on his opponent, and I sort of went out into the fight expecting that. Yeah. So I decided straight up, you know, I'm going to take it to him a little bit as well, and
fought aggressively during that fight.
I fought aggressively from the
back
start,
yeah.
and I think that sort of changed things around. Yeah. He went defensive, and you know, I just became stronger and stronger. And
you threw him off his game plan.
I was surprised. You know, I thought he would have at some stage changed his game plan and came at me, but he never really came at me at all. You know, I felt if he had have, I would have been able to catch him, but unfortunately, you know, he kept running.
I don't think he realised you were that strong.
Yeah,
that you were more a boxer.
That's right.
But mate, in the biggest, probably your biggest win of your career, your boxing career, you went back to Germany in 2012 and lifted the WBA crown from Felix Sturm. Sturm had been the champion since 2008 and had 13 successful defences. He's one of the greats of German boxing. Tell me about that win.
Yeah, I guess that was, I probably got spoken to by even more people about, you know, how crazy that was, you know, having the IBF title already, risking that, travelling back to Germany where I won it originally. You know, everybody said, you know, you go back there, you're not bringing any titles back. You know that doesn't matter
against
what you
a strong champion. Yeah.
Against a champion that hasn't lost there for so long, and he's had a few disputed decisions also. So, you know, it was definitely a big risk. It was very dangerous. Yeah. But you know, when my team spoke to me, I felt confident. I knew that I could beat Sturm. You know, I knew if I got myself in a perfect condition, you know, I could fight, you know, my style and beat him. And you know, that's just how I went there. I just went there with confidence.
Great win, mate. And when you look at it, he's gone on to win the WBA super middleweight title.
That's right.
So who knows, you might get to fight him again.
Yeah, he's still been successful, and you know, hopefully if he keeps going, then I'll be there too.
Yeah. Now, in 2013, you got Anthony Mundine back in the ring and scored a very clear decision. Yep. Now, Mundine was coming off a win over Bronco McCann, highly regarded middleweight in Las Vegas. And after you beat him, he went on to stop Shane Mosley, who's fighting for a world title pretty soon.
Yep.
So tell me about that fight with Anthony Mundine.
Yeah, the second Mundine fight was something I'd look forward to for a long time, because I knew there were probably a couple of occasions where it could have happened. That fight could have happened a little bit earlier, but you know, it didn't happen for various reasons. So you know, it just sort of fired me up that little bit more. But yeah, when the fight did get signed, you know, I was very, very excited, especially fighting in Sydney. It's always going to be great. I always love fighting in Sydney after fighting overseas, coming back fighting in Sydney with a strong crowd as well. Yeah. I expected the crowd to be a little bit 50-50 once I got out there, but I had a lot of support from the crowd, and it was unreal. It was different from what I've been used to. Yeah,
that was a great win for you, mate. He said a couple of things. He questioned your Aboriginal heritage, yours and your wife's heritage.
Yep.
And so you were upset with him a bit.
Yeah, that fired me up a lot as well. And
so it only made you more keener, right?
It did. My motivation was very high in that. Yeah. I wanted to beat him because of the first fight, and I wanted to beat him even more because of all the things that he kept saying.
Okay, mate. Then in 2013, you travelled to Atlantic City and fought the Englishman, Darryl Barger. you dropped Barker. It was a round 6. You dropped him with a body shot.
That's right.
And he came back well.
Yep.
Came back. It was a split decision.
Yep.
Tell me about that fight.